Hello and welcome back to another show from the Double Pivot podcast. Um, it's me, FPL veteran. How are you doing? Hectic week, and alongside me is Kieran, FPL discomfort. Kieran, how are you doing? How are you doing, mate? It's been a hectic week. We've not spoke, which is probably good for the pod. How's things been this week, mate?
They've been good. And mate, look, first of all, we are live. At the time we said we'd go live, I'm looking, there's a button that says live. We've done it. We've
We've
done it.
done it.
Shall we end the
We've
show
done.
now? Should we just this is the best we've done.
Yeah, what 7 game? Oh, probably this is about our ninth live, so we got there 1 in 10. I'll take that.
I will
No,
too.
we like we say we've been hectic. How have you been? First of all, well done on the house. You might not want to share it, but
Yeah, let's not jinx anything yet. Let's not jinx anything yet. But at least I would say my
life's
trips,
progressing, mate.
my trips going 2 hour drives down and back, I would say are a thing of the past, but it's actually my sister's birthday this weekend, so I'm driving down again. So it'll be another weekend where Saturday or Sunday morning, actually, match of the day will be a large portion of me playing catch up and then watching the Sunday games, which again happened this week. But managed to catch a few of the games on Saturday, watched a lot of the highlights, and there were some good ones, weren't there?
Yeah, it was class. It was class, mate. Like I'm saying, even today I was rammers. The whole kind of weekend I was rammers. Refereeing again today. Maybe poorly. I don't know if someone's watching who I ref today, but it went all right. I didn't get much abuse in the car park, so every club would know that. But no, same work, FPL, and it's. I'm kind of looking forward to the national break. But before that, like you're saying, there was some very, very good fixtures this weekend. And namely, I'm going to say it already, even before we get into it, it happened. 6 game weeks, and the man, HAALAND blanked. He can't sustain it. He can't sustain it. And actually, I was going to break onto later, but there's a lot of people crying on Twitter. And Twitter was very, very quiet this week, by the way. You got content creators like, oh, I just don't know what I'm doing wrong. And I don't like, I kind of loved it. I kind of loved the mayhem, Kieran. You know what I mean?
You've been waiting for it, haven't you? And interestingly, here's the funniest part
Oh.
of it all. I think if people, they won't, but if people go back and listen to, I'd say, three of the last four episodes, they'll hear you say, you said it on Juice as well when you're on there for Streamception, this is the week, Haaland's going to blank. And in none of those weeks did he blank, Shane. However, last week on the podcast, when we were late, rushed,
Yeah.
you were talking for about 18 minutes on Leicester players.
Yeah,
Which
we
was
were. Yeah,
mental.
yeah.
And I'm just there going, move on. You didn't mention Haaland with blank then, so maybe that's how we get him to blank. If you just stop going on
Talking
about
about it.
Haaland blanking, then he might actually blank.
Yeah. Hey, well, one in what's that? 1 in 6 hit rate. I'll take 1 in 6 hit rate. But
Broken clock levels at this moment.
that's it. That's it. Hey, that's the main thing. But no, it was good. But yeah, listen. Should we start the show? We've got quite a few people watching. Big Alf PL. If you don't know him, he's a legend. He's watching. Thanks for joining us. Quite a few as well.
We're going
Kieran,
to be
let's get
having
into it.
Alf on live in a couple of weeks as well, aren't we?
Oh, we are. Yeah, yeah. I
When it
mean,
goes,
that's
he wanted to be on next week until we all realise that we can have a chat next week. I'm happy to, but there's no football. There's the funds of the international breaks again.
Yeah, which I kind of I think we've needed it because it's kind of ramped up. It's been a busy, you know what I mean, full 6 weeks. I know we have another international break, but yeah, I kind of need
No,
it.
I
I
need
kind
I
of
need
need it.
football. I need my weekends. This will finally be the period where I actually have weekends where I can do nothing, and there will be nothing to sit and watch. So I'm gonna have to find a way of going out and doing other things. But cool, yeah. Let's jump into it. And look, we were saying before the show we're gonna try and mix it up a bit at the moment. Try and get it a little bit more
Yeah,
joined together. Still work in progress, but yeah, we thought this week it's there we are. There's the button for the next slide. Um, oh, there we are. Alf is playing EAFC and listening in, so we better be vocal on this so that people don't have to look. But hey, look, that's the key thing. There's less visuals this week for the time being, and what we're going to do instead is kind of focus in on the fixtures coming up and kind of draw reference to, in particular for you, Shane, what you saw from some of the games last week for the teams,
yeah.
and what you think we might see from them this week as well. So, do you want to kick us off with the early kickoff?
Yeah. Have you pulled it up there? Let's have a wee gander. The early kickoff, eh? Yeah. So we got Liverpool, Palace last week. Listen, like I said, we kind of said at the start of beginning the pod and last season, there's going to be teams that we think are going to be really, really good, and they're not really. And Palace are that team. Um, they can't buy a win. They can't seem to even get a solid squad. He's made the most changes of any manager this season, and it shows. It showed in their performance, and it showed all season. They can't really get, they don't really know who's going to be next to them, who's going to be in front of them, side to side, and within that, they can't really get a good solid shape. Um, the first half, they did play fairly well. They were getting forward, getting good positions, but even when they're playing well, they still can't seem to score a goal. Do you know what I mean? Or really make it count. They went ahead, and then it was kind of a tale of two halves after that, mate. Really, I don't know if you watched the game. First half was fairly decent. Second half, they just kind of collapsed. They kind of just went back to that older Palace. Um, and there's a certain somebody who banged two goals in that you've been raving about. So I was thinking of you when he did that. Um, go on. What you said?
Oh, well,
Go on.
no, I was going to say, like, it's kind of a sign, right? Like, Palace gave Everton their first win. Mental, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
Like, it's the kind of thing when you look at their results, and the only win they've had this season, or the wins they've had this season, were against QPR and Norwich in the EFL Cup, which probably, hey, at least we know if they go down, they will come back up. And also they could take confidence that there are, some championship sides. I don't think. Well, yeah, they've played Leicester, haven't they? But hey,
Yeah,
they,
they
they
have,
do
yeah.
have Southampton still to come at some point, so
So they
they could
might
do
get a
well
point.
there. But yeah, it wasn't really an impressive game by Palace. I think people are starting to realise that as good as Eza is, when he becomes the talisman, it's not really a role for him. You do need those other players that can take away the attention from the defence, and he'll continue to be the main man for them, and he'll continue to have a high volume of chances. Again in the game, he had sort of 5 shots, right, and was probably leading the side with that amount of shots.
Yeah, yeah. I think the big miss is Elise. You know what I mean? It's just two two of them to concentrate on or try and double up on. The Eze. All right, they got good players, but if you kind of try and mark him up the game, it's a little bit easier with just Eze. You know what I mean? Instead of Eze and Elise running a bit riot. But yeah, it's not going really well for Palace, and I don't really see it getting any better. My opinion was just to quickly cover it. Transfer wise, I think they should have let Guehi go and reinvested in the squad. I really, really do, and I think that was a huge mistake. One that I think if they could turn back by time, they could have done it again. But listen, that's done. They got to move on. In terms of assets, mate, I don't think there's anyone that I'm looking at. Is anyone you're looking at?
Not from that team. Like, if you look at it, and to your
No.
point about Guehi, if they sold him, then that'd be 25% of their goals gone this season, or something like that, right?
Yeah,
He's their second highest goal scorer. Um,
I mean,
and
you're never going to get 70 mil for him again. By the way, no one's going to come in that high for him again, ever.
maybe in the winter when there's still
Yeah.
some interest there, he's still fresh in memory, right, from the
Winter is
Euros. And I think we've seen a lot of appetite in the summer from big European sides willing to go for players from the likes of a Palace, Fulham, etc. So there is still hope if he went overseas. What I find interesting about Palace is a terrible joke here, but their defenders. If you look at their centre backs, one of them is literally fizzy water. They've got Lacroix. But
really.
like, what's he going to do? Water hasn't stopped it. No. Oh, no wonder they're so leaky at the back. Anyway, that was all I was going
Oh,
to say on that. But no, let's not even give it that sarcastic dad laugh or anything, Shane. We'll ignore it and
you
we'll
don't even
move
want
on
that.
quickly. We'll move on quickly to who they're facing. Who, yeah, probably a bit more interested in Liverpool, who, yeah, beat Wolves, which Wolves apparently had a sickness bug, right? But put up a very good battle against Liverpool,
Yeah.
and ultimately it's a Salah pen that won it for them, right?
Yeah, I was expecting. I mean, they got injuries and they had a bit of a bug in there, so I was, with Salah and a few other, double Liverpool defence. I was excited about that, mate. But they did. I thought they were going to play a few kids, but they didn't in the end, did they? They ended up managing to string an 11, together that wasn't the kids. So at least that was good. And actually, they put up a little bit more fight than I expected. They actually played all right time to time. They made a little bit of march on Liverpool. Liverpool were still a little bit. I don't know. They're still like City. They are still a little bit leaky, and they're a bit susceptible to certain attacks on certain sides. Whether that be down the left or the right, if Trent pushes up a little bit higher, but they are still a little bit, especially with Kanati. I don't fully trust Kanati. All right, and that kind of showed because he was at fault for the goal. And apart from that, Wolves didn't really have too much. Did they deserve to score? Probably not. But if we focus on Liverpool, they still look good, look solid. At times, Salah's a little bit too outright for me. I know he obviously plays on the right, and that's what he does. That's his job. But at times, he's getting chalk on his boots, which that kind of player want to come inside. It's not really what we want. Obviously, penalty. That's why I have players like that. Penalty, and it was a penalty. Jota was very lucky. Do you not think? I know there's a lot of people who still have him, but the assist for the penalty and the other assist, it was fortunate.
But
Do you
it's
not
what
reckon?
happens when you're playing as the central player in a attacking team like that, right? You will
Yeah.
be when these things happen. It's probably going to involve you. Maybe not in both very frequently, but in at least one of them. I think it made me laugh at the end. I don't know if you caught it, but the interview when Konate was asked to present man of the match to Gravenberch, and he was like, "What do I have to do to win this? Like, come on, guys, what more am I meant to do?" And it's like, what, we just ignore the fact that you're the reason why they scored. Like, let's just
Yeah.
ignore that part. You're right. Like, he's fun. He did really, really well. He made a lot of key blocks and challenges and clearances, and
Yeah.
yeah, he was good. But as a defender, if you make a mistake that big, you can't win man of the match. You just can't. So,
Nah.
yeah,
And
it's
it was on that. Listen, I think I've probably talked everyone's ear off enough about Haaland, but I tell you what, people are lucky on X this week that I've been busy. If not, it would have been even worse. But yeah, they were quite lucky in the way Salah missed. Well, he missed an open goal. Did you see the open goal he missed? Really? I mean, it was hard to take, but it's Salah, so you expect him to
yeah.
put it away. And then probably a lot of Salah owners with no Haaland, they probably own double defence at least or Trent. So they did lose out on a bit of points there, but no, listen, he's started shaping his team well, and he's only just come in there, but he has put his onus and his a little bit of a stamp on the team. What I like about it, he's not afraid to make decisions. You saw in the first game he hooked um, who did it? Quanta. He hooked Quanta at centre back because he wasn't playing like he wanted to, and I kind of like that in a manager, and it kind of shows. I know they did concede in that goal, that game, sorry, but they are more secure than they were last season. And yeah, their attacking prowess is still just as good. I do see a lot of in changes though. Obviously, I had European game this last night. Who did they play? Italian side, not Atlanta.
Who, Liverpool?
Yes.
So Liverpool yesterday, that was Bologna.
Bologna. Yeah. So they won there. Salah's finished, by the way. Magical. Looks like he's back to his best, but he's never kind of left his best. But there will be a bit of rotation up top. Do you not think? Jota, Gakpo, and Nunes. Although Nunes was poor. Nunes
Yeah,
was
that's
poor.
it. Like Nunes will probably be benched for this one. Yossa will come in. Diaz again, whilst he started, he did come off right in the 72nd minute. So again, he got the kind of sub you'd expect for someone who is going to play the next game, and I think that's quite an important one because really it depends how Palace set up in this game, right? Like Palace could aim to take on Liverpool, but if they do, that's going to be naive. I think if anything though, we will see Munoz be pretty high up at certain times, and I think that's where Diaz can capitalise. Like we saw, this season, Leicester got a couple of goals against them, right? Mavididi did on that left hand side.
Yeah, he
So,
did. Yeah.
but also centrally, that seems where they're like the weakest. Like Jackson got a goal from a Palmer assist. I'm not sure if it was Vardy who scored as well in that Leicester game. I think there's also a way to get at them through the middle. So again, I think it's a game where someone like Soboslai can be pretty central to what they're doing. Yossa can be, and if Salah and Trent continue to cross, they're crossing from the right over to the left, and that's where Diaz is cutting in. So I think it could definitely be an interesting one. Um,
Yeah, you were
Liverpool
unlucky
players are
with
still the ones
Szoboszlai.
on mine.
Sorry, you brought him in, and he should have scored. I was thinking of you again at that time, and yeah, it was a good decision. Just not the outcome we needed. He should have finished it, but yeah, but you were gutted.
I was, and that was the moment where I went, well, this wild card's not going to have worked out, will it? And I think look, the only mention I'll do to my wild card is my pre-wild card team had Gvardiol, Salah, Palmer, and Watkins. My post-wild card team didn't. So,
Oh,
and I said the whole way that I wasn't going to wild card till 7. It was just the fact that I thought, I won't be able to afford this team if I wait. And
yeah.
points might have been better, but hey, it's part of it. I guess that on this game then, Shane, who's your favourite picks? Like, what do you see the score being for this one? We might as well do predictions as we go for a change, and I'll make notes as we go
Yeah, I
through.
think obviously we're a fairly new pod. By the way, thanks very much everyone joining us. We've got Zodiac, Wade, Geddy,
Yeah, let's put a few
Alf,
of these up. That's a good point to
thanks
start.
very much for joining us, guys. And if you like the stream and share and everything like that, it'd be fantastic. Thanks for joining us. And yeah, I think we do the prediction at the same time. We kind of encompass everything in a one, and then we can move on to the next one. It's the early kickoff, so the early kickoff curse. But I don't really see it taking too much effect, even though I do believe in the curse. I think Liverpool are fairly solid. I think they take it 3-0, to be honest. I think Salah's on red hot form. I think there's a penalty in there. Yeah, Liverpool aren't getting bothered at all. Palace to continue the rot, unfortunately. What do you think? And everyone in the chat, if you put what you think up as well. Prediction would be fantastic.
I was genuinely at that point. I didn't make a note of your score because I was too busy trying to
I've got
make
it
sure that
3
we
0.
showed everyone that had commented. 3-0 you're going for. Okay. You're
Yeah.
going to be the scribe today, are you? So I don't need
Yes,
to do
I'm the
anything.
scriber, mate.
Perfect. I like this. Less for me to do.
Teamwork.
Yeah, that works. I would
Teamwork.
say 3-0. Look, Liverpool should get a clean sheet eventually, but
Yeah, they've
Eze
been
also
unlucky.
needs to score eventually. So
Yeah,
which one
fair enough.
happens? Like Liverpool have looked good defensively. They've looked so good.
Is there the kickoff though? Are
Mm,
you going to go for it? Any kickoff? It's not a bad time to go for it, really.
I'm going to go 3-1. And again, I
I
think
like
it
it.
like Salah's going to do well. I think it is a game where Trent gets an attack and return in some way, shape, or form. And I
Yeah, he has to. Well, he doesn't have
Szoboszlai
to,
might
but
be a
has to.
dilemma for me as to whether or not I start him. We'll come on to the team sort of towards the end as to what we're going to be doing. But I do think he could do well in this game.
I do, and I don't know if you brought it up there, but I'll bring it up. Oh, look at that! Look at that! We already had it in tandem as you were bringing it up. Salah and Red Hot. I think Salah will be very, very good this weekend. It might be
2-1,
another week where
2-0,
people
2-0.
worry about not having Salah because a lot of people have moved to no Salah, to fit Saka and everything like that in. So it'll be an interesting week. But
Cool,
yeah,
sweet.
yeah,
Next game up then. The first one we've got listed here is Arsenal Southampton. Um, look, first of all, I'll jump in with Arsenal. Like
yeah. You jump in, mate. Come on. What are
on
you saying?
wildcard in particular, I just fancy going Arsenal attack more than Arsenal defence. Thankfully, it was kind of rewarded in the first one, but I think it wasn't because I thought Arsenal would concede. It was because I thought Arsenal would give away pretty low XG chances, if any, and therefore Raya probably wouldn't get the kind of save points anymore. Arsenal's attack just looks lethal, right? It was the most amount of shots in the second half of any team.
Yeah,
It was the most shots inside the box of any team, and they're going to continue to do that and find ways. And I think there's two ways you can look at that game. You can go Leicester were unlucky, and the score line's a little bit unfair considering it was a draw at full time. But you can also then look at it and go, in the first half, Arsenal absolutely battered them and could have been up by more. Leicester then had two goals that they took fantastically, but then Arsenal battered them and then finally managed to get what they probably deserved, which was a 2-goal win. And I think that's the key thing. Arsenal will continue to attack. Saka still, to me, feels like he's leans more towards assists than goals so far this season, which we
yeah.
sort of discussed pre-season as well. That with the new additions into the side and the additional threats that Arsenal could offer, he could turn into more of a creator, and that's definitely been the case. And he'll continue to like his corners, like
Class, yeah.
every
Especially
single
with
time,
Gabriel and Saliba.
exactly where you want. Right?
Yeah.
It's just perfect every time. And you watch other players, and how often? And look, Arsenal used to do it all the time. Not beat the first man, etc., or just a terrible corner. With Saka, it's just the same every single time. So I think that'll be interesting. It'll continue to be a strong threat for Arsenal.
And like you're
If
saying, Kieran, they're top for set pieces since last November or something like that. So that's one of the reasons why.
exactly, and I've heard some people go, "Oh well, look, teams might start marking Gabriel as if they weren't trying to already, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And therefore Saliba might do something. Arsenal are a massive, massive team. It won't necessarily be Saliba. You've got Kai Havertz, you've got Declan Rice, you've got Mikel Merino, you've got
Mm.
Calafiori. You've just got these giants in that box, all over 6 foot. So yes, it might be a Saliba who gets it, but it could also be any of those ones as well. So I think Arsenal are just showing a lot of attack and a lot that they were going through. I think there's one thing, and I've actually did add a couple of graphics on here. One that I found quite interesting, and I'll just skip to it quickly. Is can you see this one, Shane?
I got it. Looks fantastic, mate. Looks lovely.
So look, this is just a bit of a tongue-in-cheek thing, right? But it's Arsenal stats this season have been a little bit misleading in terms of like field tilt and stuff like that. But a lot of that's been governed by the fact that they've been like 10v11. If you look at it here, like they're pretty solid for the goals for. Not the highest, but they've got the best defence when it's been 11v11, which we already knew. But it's just kind of interesting to kind of look at those teams and look at the teams that aren't as good at it and who are conceding more. And again, no surprises, but you've got a Leicester team that are pretty low down here. You've got a Southampton team that Arsenal put goals past.
Good
So
West
look,
Ham, by the way. Whew.
yeah, they're
Whew.
conceding a lot, aren't they? Lopetegui
Fella
might
will
be.
not be happy, yeah.
Do you remember pre-season we were going, no, there's no way they're a green fixture. They've got that wrong. The FPL official FPL may have got the FDR right.
One team. We'll give them that. Yeah, we'll give them that.
Anyway, look, that's kind of my spiel on Arsenal. Obviously, yeah, they just look good. I think Havertz. I think I still like Martinelli and Trossard. I think Merino could potentially take minutes from either or, but I also think he could just as equally take minutes from Partey and Arsenal be even more attacking in the setup. I think games like this are ones where it wouldn't surprise me if it was Kai Havertz Hall. It wouldn't surprise me if Trossard got a couple of returns, or Martinelli got a couple, or Saka got a couple. It wouldn't surprise me if Rice did, right? I think it could be any of. So I know people are considering differential captaincy, and I think this is a good game for it. But I'd go Kai if anyone out of them. I don't know about you. What do you think of Arsenal?
Yeah, do you know what? This was one thing I'm going to. I was thinking about doing for Veterans Vision. New feature, by the way. So stick around until that feature. For me, right, I think City have swapped places with Arsenal in terms of their one, the performances, and two, the actual score lines that they're keeping. Right, over the years, City, they've not really conceded many goals. They've been solid going forward. Even if they get pegged back to 2-2, like Arsenal did, they'll go on and they score more goals. Whereas before, Arsenal, they might get a 2-1 win, but they just keep trucking along, and then they might get caught with a draw. And they'll leak a few goals, and that's kind of what's happened to City. Do you know what I mean? I kind of feel like those tables have turned now, and Arsenal are the team to kind of stop. Do you know what I mean? Some people might not think that, and I know City are City. Like, listen, I completely get it. They're a fantastic team, one of the best in Europe, and they have been for years. But do you know what I mean with that dynamic, Kieran? It kind of, for me, it's quite changed. And this weekend kind of solidified that again. City, all right, it's a hardish fixture against Newcastle, but conceding again, and they don't really have midfield a little bit light. Do you not feel like they've kind of swapped a little bit, or the onus is now on them to kind of chase Arsenal?
Yeah, to an extent. I think Arsenal will just control the ball when they want. They'll control the game states that they want to, and if they need to sit back and let a team have the ball for a while, they just will, right?
Yeah, that's it. But I mean, elsewhere, I did watch the game actually. I watched my little boy, and yeah, I did actually see you. I was quite surprised when it was 2-2. I was like, oh, are Arsenal kind of are they doing the bottling thing? They bottling again? But then again, they just went on. Saka, yeah, he has turned into. And I noticed this last year that he doesn't even if it's 3-4-0 because you can share it around the team, which is really really good. You can't just stop one of your players and then you're not going to score goals. He doesn't haul too often. I think he is due a haul. And their opponents at the weekend, he might get a haul in. But apart from that, no, it was a good watch, and they're entertaining to watch as well. And then just a special mention, the game again I watched in Europe midweek, fantastic, solid, brilliant. I'm happy to watch them, Kieran. I bet you're happy to watch them as well.
I am. But look, conscious to not make this too much of an Arsenal podcast on this one.
You love that though. You love
yeah,
it.
but obviously we could talk more about them as we say the score. But let's talk about their opponents for this game, Southampton.
I mean, what? What can we say? Is there anything we can say? They changed. He actually changed Russell Martin. I didn't think he would change, and he said he wouldn't, but he went to a back four. Not that it really made a difference. They're still poor. They're still trying to play out from the back. And listen, I know that's the way forward these days. I get it. All right, football's adapting. It's changing, and you want to play from the back to move your opposition around. I get that, but if you don't have the players to do it, then kind of change and adapt. A little bit like Everton, they don't really play out from too much from the back. You need to adapt like that. So it doesn't matter if they got a back three, a back four, they're still getting battered. And against their opposition at the time, not to go too much in, Bournemouth were direct, and they just couldn't handle it. And it just seems with any opposition, they can't really handle them. Whether it be the left hand side, the right hand side, down the middle, mistakes that they give away. Without swearing, it's just a shit show, to be honest, Kieran. I don't really hold out much hope for them, no, especially at the travelling to Arsenal. I don't think it's going to really go well. There's not too much to say about them. Diblin, he played up top, which is different. You got a 4.5 midfielder playing up top for a while. It's not a bad asset to have, really, is it? Oh, he's muted. You muted him, Kieran. We can't even
I am
hear what you're
muted.
saying.
Didn't even
Oh, we're
realise
back
that.
in. We're back in.
Yeah, he did play up there, but he didn't really do anything, right? He looked less threatening than he did before. Like he can't be
Yeah.
that central man. Like Southampton needs someone else to be there, and that's a concern about them. They're still playing around, and I think their manager believes that they can. Their manager believes in them more than they believe in themselves, and you can see that at different states in the game where they've got the ability at times, but then they just sort of, as soon as things go against them, they compound it. And mistakes
Yeah.
are just capitalised on every single time. And if teams like you rightly said there, if teams like Bournemouth can do it to them, then you have to worry about what Arsenal will do. Look, I'll jump into it in my prediction. I think there's 5. I think it's a 5. I think it's a 5-0
Big
Arsenal.
fiver. High five.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I don't really see. I did look back at the head-to-heads, right, and kind of like last Arsenal game, Martinelli does really well. Historically against Leicester, and he did again. And over the years, you found it a little bit tough to beat them. Listen, Southampton are a completely different team than they were 3, 4, 5 years ago. And yeah, I don't see it really being be much different than that. I do feel like they're going to get a goal. I don't really know why. I think it's just the FPL or football. You've been solid, but I feel like you'll leak a goal, and I think it will be 4-1. I think I'm going to go with 4-1, mate. And I will scribe that down, mate.
So good.
In the chat again, let us know. Let us know in the chat. See what you think.
Well, Wade thinks that it'll be Southampton beating Arsenal to obviously just compound the most typical things that could happen here.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
But yeah, look, I think as we saw, and I'll skip back to it, but like Arsenal with 11v11, if Arsenal keep 11 players on the pitch, then they're very hard to score against. So
I think during the week as well, mate. That big huge win against PSG. It's only gonna any potential slip ups at the weekend that they've been pushed off now is not going to be you. I think you're going to be ruthless at the weekend, and if you get a few early goals, it could be a lot more. You might do that repeat at 9-0 that Southampton got a few years ago. Who knows? But yeah. Put your scores in the chat. See what you think. But we'll move on to the next one. What we're on now? Brentford Wolves.
we are indeed, and I think this one will probably be slightly shorter-ish, I guess. Brentford, I guess, firstly, we'll say they can't stop scoring in the first minute, can they? It's 3 games in a row now.
I know. It was 3 in a row in the first minute.
I think it's the first minute. I could be wrong, but pretty early
on. Yeah, no,
each
it was.
time.
Yeah, I'm sure it was.
So look, that's good for them. The downside of it is they haven't won any of those 3 games. So
no, they've not. They've not. And it probably listen when you score 1 against City in the first minute, it's probably not good for you at the Etihad as well. So it didn't really end well. But yeah, I think they're still getting their full squad back, and they've still got a few more defenders to get back. What I did notice about this game as well, actually, they've recently changed the back 5. He's been playing a back 5, whereas he did have kind of like a back 4. He's gone to back 5 because he's got a few other centre backs back, and he is playing Big Sepp in there, Van den Berg. He's one of the centre backs in there. So maybe moving forward, he sees him, staying in that back line. They've still got to get Hickey back, so he might move in there instead of him. But maybe they're just taking a wee while to get used to that new back five. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's maybe where the leaking goals are coming from. And they will pick up clean sheets over the time. They have had a bit of a hard start though as well. We've got to think.
Yeah. I think they're one of the teams where it's a relatively hard start. They got the wins against teams you'd expect them to get wins against, in Palace and Southampton. Draw against West Ham, yeah, we'll see. And then look, this Wolves game is obviously good for them. And then Man United, right? Which we'll come on to them. And I think
That's a great
everyone's looking
fixture.
forward to talk about them.
Yeah,
There we
we'll
are.
come into that. Geddy, we'll come into that, mate. Don't you worry about that. But yeah, like we said, we won't take much time on this. That's Brentford. Wolves
It's
wise,
Mbumo, right? He's the only one you can still really consider. I guess Carvalho is offering a lot of threat now, starting very high up the pitch, playing a lot more minutes, and I think look at his price point, he's definitely one to sort of keep an eye on. But again, Brentford are the team.
Sorry, mate. I think actually we thought he was the only one. I do like Fleckham for his fixtures the next 4 or 5. He is cheap. They will keep clean sheets, and I think he is to be considered. He's to be considered.
Yeah.
Apart from that, not much. Wolves wise, you got anything on Wolves? I don't. For me, there's still a little bit. I can't really trust them. In FPL, you want to trust some players, even if the kind of outside shouts. I do like Strand Larson, and you probably caught you brought my attention to him. I don't think now's the right time really for them. With the injuries as well, it's probably not the right time for it, is it?
No, it's not. And look, I get what people have been saying. They've been unlucky. They've deserved to get more out of some of the games, right? But this isn't new to this season. So they picked up 1 point in this season so far, right?
Yeah.
In 6 games. But last season, in the final 10 games, they picked up 5 points. So that's 6 points in the last 16 games.
Yeah, they've got. I heard today. I think they've lost 27 and 42, roughly something like that. Which, yes, it's not.
It's
poor.
the thing, right? You look at a team like Bournemouth, right? Bournemouth had a rough start to last season. They remained patient with their manager because they had a tough start to it, right? And they did the right thing by holding on to Iraola. The thing is, though, Iraola took over from the manager that they fired, right? Who, is Gary O'Neill now at Wolves, right? So you kind of look at these things, and I'm not saying O'Neill's a bad manager. I don't think he is, but like, let's say they don't get a result here against Brentford, and then they're playing Man City. That's going to be 8 games with 1 point.
I mean, I don't expect them to. I think both managers are under it, to be honest.
And they're conceding every game, right? They're conceding 2 goals at least a game. So 2 against Liverpool, 3 against Villa, 2 against Newcastle, 1 against Forest, 6 against Chelsea, 2 against Arsenal. Now, again, they've not looked terrible in it, but if you're conceding 2 goals every game, you're not going to win. You're not going to win a game if you concede 2.
This is probably even worse than Southampton at this rate, or even on par with them. So yeah, it's not going well. Prediction wise, you went first last time. I'll go first this time. I think it's still quite a resounding win, to be honest. Did they keep? I think this is one where Brentford do their Brentford thing to keep them in the league. I go a solid. Oh, do I go 2 or 3? Do you know what? I'll go 3. That's my first thought. 3-0. Solid performance from Brentford.
I'll go 2-1.
Ooh.
To Brentford. And the reason why, and I'll just bring this up as well quickly, but this is a chart on press resistance this season.
Well.
So it's the danger possession loss and the build-up completion percentage. And if you look at it, Brentford here, their build-up completion is a percentage of successfully completed passes outside of the final third of it. So 85%, like just shy of that, about 83%. But their possession lost in their own danger zone is 31%. So if a team like Wolves do put much pressure on them, then I think they can get a goal. And I think that's where Wolves' success can come in a game like this.
Yeah, right.
Another interesting one here from Mark Stats on Twitter. So
Yeah,
yeah,
if
that's
you've
why I've
not
sort of
checked
gone with
them
that.
out, by the way, guys and girls that are listening, check them out. Fantastic stats, really, really good, kinesthetic kind of wise, and very lovely. Nice colours, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, check him out. And he was nice enough to let us use all these stats. So that's fantastic. Leicester
Right,
Bournemouth,
up
mate.
next, yeah. Well, look, it's also a good one. So Leicester also down here. So again, the timing why I was looking at this one, and Bournemouth are similarly not that great at it. Now this I also think is interesting. I don't know if you've heard of the Matty rank before, Shane, but I think again, just as we're getting sort of about half of the way through some of the games, sort of four of the games into it,
Yeah,
thought might be worth sort of throwing up something like this, which is a pretty cool visualization. And basically, what it's comparing is how teams have performed based on the opposition they faced. So it kind of instead of just going this many points, etc., it's much more focused on like that holistic approach to it. So it's based on the results of the opposition strength.
yeah.
Um, and you can read more about the model. There's sort of links on it, and it was original idea by Penalty Blog. But again, if you look at some of these teams, Leicester are underperforming based on who they've been facing, but Bournemouth are too. So look, Leicester, how much do we read into it? They showed a lot of attitude. Mavididi still looks like a good player. James Justin probably isn't ever going to score 2 goals a game or hit one like that in his life.
Yeah, it was 248th game, I believe, and it was his first double as a defender. I mean, yeah, he's not going to get many doubles, but by the way, second goal, class goal, wasn't it? That was like an old school hit. Yeah, great to see. And by the way, he's a great FPL player. I imagine you know that, eh?
Yeah, but he benched himself, right? He wildcarded
He
and benched
did.
himself.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, imagine that. Yeah. Hey, at least he's not betting on himself. At least, so
Well, that's it. When you're
that's
away against Arsenal, you're obviously benching yourself, right, as a defender.
yeah.
Like he's probably thinking, I might be getting an early bath here. Look, it doesn't get it does get easier for them because Bournemouth aren't the same kind of threat, and Leicester will be at home. I think they do have an opportunity there, but they are still very clearly a team here that have lost their key player in Dewsbury Hall and lost their manager. So
Yeah.
they are going to continue to struggle, and Bournemouth are just looking great right now. Like Bournemouth looked great in their game, and again, we're looking at the opposition, the Arsenal, Southampton, Leicester, Bournemouth. We're reversing the fixtures, which again is why this one's a little bit more easy to run through, right? When we've kind of literally covered off these games.
Yeah. Exactly.
But like so from Leicester perspective, yeah, I've still got my eyes on players. I almost bought Wout Face into my team or Face on wildcard because I do like
Oh.
their fixtures after this. I think in general Leicester have decent fixtures after, right? Um, but they're just not a good team, and
Yeah.
it's one of those where like,
I
well,
don't want a player from a bad team. Is pretty much what you're saying.
it's the same with Wolves. I was hearing people say Wolves fixture after the Man City game, so after Brentford and Man City becomes good, right? But what if they've got a new manager? Like, definitely a wait and see. And also, Wolves on the fixture to every other team is a great fixture. Like Southampton are looking at the Wolves game going, "Hello, that might be 3 points for us there." So it's similar here for Leicester. Um, they're just one of those teams that they'll be good. I think they'll probably give more of a fight to Bournemouth, but it's just Bournemouth players who this is the last week for them as well, isn't it? Their fixtures get tough after this. So,
Yeah, they do.
as someone who owns a couple of Bournemouth players, Shane, I know you do. What did you
Mm.
think of Bournemouth and their performance last week?
Yeah, it was good. It's good, and they've been good for a few weeks. Not, you know, what I mean, it wasn't really a surprise to anybody that. All right, the opposition, all right, wasn't the best opposition, but you still have to play well. And listen, it could be more than three. And yeah, listen, Ariola's doing a good job there. He is. You know, he's turned them at the start. There was doubts. Even I was like, nah, he's not the best, but he's turned them into a good side. Even I had Semenyo, which a lot of people had, but I also had Even Elson, which only 0.5% of legendary managers had, mate. And he banged in his first goal. You were raving about him before he came over, and he's too good to not start scoring goals. He got hooked a bit earlier, I think, just to get him a bit of fitness time. But no, they do look good. The only one worry I have is they do keep leaking a few goals, which could catch them out. But I think as they move forward, they will get a little bit better, and they will improve. In terms of this one, listen, I don't. Leicester have got a few razor light in there. Hermanson, by the way, if you've not read Kieran's thread on Hermanson, it's really really good. And against Arsenal, we didn't actually chat about him. I think he had like 11 saves or something. What I will say is he played well, but a lot of them were perfect for his show. Do you know what I mean? Like the right
Yes
height
and
and the
no.
right speed. I'm not taking anything away. He had a great performance, and there was some fantastic saves in there as well. Hey, you can
It's
only
that
stop what's in
it's
front
the
of
non-stop, like the relentlessness of it, and I guess
you.
that's
It
the
was,
thing,
yeah.
right? Like when you're playing a team like Arsenal, when you're playing a team like Liverpool, City, even Spurs, it's not about the shot itself. It's about you're on your toes watching everything through players non-stop, and you've got to be in that right position to make that save look easy. So it's all well and good with it being at a right height and he can stretch to it, but the amount of other times you'll see goalkeepers and they'll be slightly out of position and the ball goes there, and we don't think much about it. But that positional awareness of players like him, like you can see why I was so hyped on him pre-season, and like you said as well with Evan
Yeah.
Nilsson, like great player, was going to take a little bit of time to adapt, but not that long. And yeah, sure, he might not be on penalties anymore, but I owned him alongside you, mate, and he's definitely a good one to have picked up, right? And I guess that's where this game comes in, right? Where I don't think Bournemouth are going to have the kind of field game that you and I probably want them to have because of Hermanson. I think they win,
Mm.
but also maybe they don't. Like, I don't know. How do you see this game going? What's your score
I
prediction?
see the opposite actually, and this is hey Kieran. This is one of the reasons we set this podcast up. Quite often we've got opposite views. I don't really rate Leicester at all. They try and play out a little bit from the back. It doesn't work. They're terrible with crosses. They just can't defend at times. And I think it'll actually showcase Bournemouth in an even better light. And we'll kind of go back to the thinking of Leicester are doomed to go back down. Scores wise, I'll go first. I think. Do you know what? I think it'll be big. And this is a little bit out there. I think it'll be Bournemouth 4-0. I know that's big. I know it's big. I don't know. I've just got a feeling. I got a feeling. What do you think? I think you'll go for a little bit less than that, but maybe still a Bournemouth win for you.
I think that you mentioned earlier it's been a long, busy week for you. And I think you've kind of lost the plot now here.
He's
Like
gone
four
delirious.
goals. What you think Hermanson concedes four in back-to-back against Arsenal after 30 odd shots? He concedes four. You
I,
think?
d- I, j-
Stop it.
I
Do
just,
you know
I don't
what?
know. I don't know. It's not because I own the Bournemouth, like the duo. I don't know. Leicester, I think they've been holding it together a little bit recently, and I just think Bournemouth are on the
You're going to
rise, and I
hold it
think
together again. It's
there's a
going to be a
whooping coming.
Jamie Vardy party, and I'm going to call it a fantastic, well-earned 2-all draw.
Oh, in fact, Zodiac's just put that in as well. Good thinking, Zodiac. 2-2.
Why didn't you share the message before that? That's interesting.
Oh, this one here from you, the delight one. That's just normal. I think that's normal up there. That's why. But I
I need
think
to ask you as well, Shane. Obviously, we've got the new feature, Veterans Vision.
we do.
Just more for my own purposes, how far away are we from that being relevant for discussion?
We are next game relevant. So we'll touch on the next game.
Well, you
Which
need to give
is
me a heads up when we're going to it, because I might have something for it.
okay. So what we'll do is, I'll tell you what, we'll do the next game. We'll do the City game, and then we'll go to it because it's pretty prevalent in the next game. And I think you know what it is. I think many people in the chat will know what it is. Something to do with a certain striker of Man City. But yeah, quite a lot of people are saying like Leicester, yeah, fairly solid 2-2. Leicester aren't going to lose it. Hey, when that third goal comes in from Bournemouth, just think, Shane, Evan Nielsen hat trick. But yeah, I think we'll probably spend a wee bit long on Leicester Bournemouth. But next on is City Fulham. Listen, I don't want to again spend too long on City. Everyone knows what City's about, right? Everyone knows what they're about. Same with Fulham; they've been playing really, really well. City wise, listen, there's only one thing to talk about, and that's Haaland's blank. That is Haaland's blank, ladies and gentlemen. And it was coming. It was coming. One, he had, the early kickoff, which was doomed anyway. And now that is, by the way, against Newcastle, that is Haaland with 1 assist in 6 against Newcastle. That's it. So I just thought I'd point that out there. And yeah, I knew it was coming. Didn't have him in. A lot of people went with it and just went with a lazy captain. And that's where it gets you, Kieran. That's where it gets you.
Was this your vision part here, or was this just a rant?
No, that was
This
my
is
rant.
just a
That was
rant
my rant.
or a
But
brag.
no,
I'm not sure what it was. Like
it was
the
both.
problem with Scottish people and for our audio listeners here, he was smiling during all of that. I know when they like raise their voice, you can't tell if it's joy or whether or not the haggis has been left in the oven for too
The
long.
oven, yeah.
Are
Or
they
the
cooked in
kiln.
ovens?
The
No, there
kiln.
we are. See, I knew.
The
That's
kiln.
why I
There you go.
hesitated. I hesitated because I went, if I'm going to go all in here, I need to get the
The Scottish
everything right. But
terminology.
exactly, I should have just gone down the battered Mars bar route instead. But yeah, cool. Look, I agree with you. I don't. It's one of those where it comes into the psychology of it all, right? Where I don't believe like these are different Newcastle teams every single time, but I think there is players almost put added pressure onto themselves, and I do wonder if even someone like Haaland, he focuses on it too much and is so desperate to score that he kind of tenses up at key opportunities or snatches and takes
Yeah.
things that he probably shouldn't, and is looking to take the shot sooner rather than creating a space for himself.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, Newcastle, they improved. I was a little bit worried actually because the way they've been playing, I was like, Haaland might have a field day here. So no, it was it wasn't too bad. I think again, like we spoke about, City are leaky, and the penalty is dubious. Listen, from my point of view, of being a small time ref, I don't think it was a penalty. Do you? But the first shout anyway that he actually got given Gordon, I don't think it's a penalty.
No, probably not.
But anyway, nonetheless, they're still leaking, and that's going to significantly reduce the points. I think who's put in the chat there? I think it was Calm or Zodiac. Yeah, there's one person who started midweek, Foden, and I think it is a bit of Foden time, and I think he will steal a bit of the show. That finish midweek that he had was class. It looks like he's been playing all season. Quickly into his feet, quickly out, and great finish. Keeper no chance. I think him coming in could reinvigorate City. But listen, Fulham been playing well, and it'll be tougher than people think. Fixture wise, we'll go into predictions. I still think it'll be a resounding win. I go 2-0. Not as big as what everyone thinks, but I go City 2-0, mate. With a
Cool.
Foden goal.
I'll let you sort of go with that for a little while. And look, let's give some respect to Fulham, right? Where we could say what we want about Man City in that game, and they did well against Newcastle. But Fulham also beat Newcastle, right? A couple of games ago. So Fulham are a decent team. Arsenal 2.0. As you said, they beat Newcastle rather than Man City getting a draw against it. Foden does look good. I bought him in UCL fantasy because I just thought, look, at his
Same,
face,
yeah.
he's unreal,
Legend, yes.
and he's unreal, and I think it'll be the same. And this game in particular brings back fond memories for me because last season this was game week 4, and it was when I used my triple captain and Haaland got 20 points or tripled up for 60, and he got 3 goals and an assist against Fulham. Absolutely battered them, right? And it was 5-1. And then when they played Fulham away from home, they beat them 4-0. So that's 9 goals in the last 2 matches against them. And Haaland smashed it in one, and he blanked in the other. I think in the 4-0 one. I know he didn't score, and I think he didn't get an assist either. But in that game, again, if I'm not mistaken, but in that game, Fulham had Palhinha back, whereas in the first one they didn't. They don't have him now, and they still haven't replaced him. So I think City just bounced back from that draw, and I think it's the opposite to what you're saying. I think this is a hammering, and I will go with a 5-1 for this one.
Oh, 5-1. Don't say that. Yeah, in the chat, there's a few people getting saying Haaland loves a Hattie v Fulham. And I'm a big believer of the head-to-heads as well, about history, like saying on Martinelli last week. I kind of hoping not, because I would love the crying levels that I've seen on Twitter this week of Haaland blanking. But
right, are we on to your vision yet, though?
We're ready now. We've kind of gone into it a little bit. We've touched on it. Have you got something sorted there? Yeah. This is exciting. This is exciting.
You ready?
This is like juice level, isn't it?
What I'm going to do here as well is I'm going to single screen it with just you and
oh god,
this.
yes. yes. Do you know what? For like everyone in the chat, obviously you can tell by my reaction, I have never seen this before. I like it. I do like it.
It's AI. Literally, while we've been talking, I just asked.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, Microsoft designer. I said, your most stereotypical. No, I went a Scottish man with
That's
kilt
what
and
it's like.
bagpipes, with a vision into the future about football, maybe with a thought bubble, which it's absolutely nailed exactly what I asked.
I like it. So anyway, we'll push into that. So veterans vision, like I'm saying, this is a new feature this or in the pod that we'll have moving forward. And I think maybe we should get a wee Tammy hat like that, so I can match it up. But listen, my vision or my kind of play this week is, first of all, definitely play your own way. All right, you can see this week how um your thoughts and everything you encompass of what you think, you play the way you want. Because if not, ultimately, oh, I should have kept Palmer. I didn't keep Palmer. And listen, he goes and bangs in 4 goals. And you, in your view, in your thought, you wanted to have him in, and you should have kept him in. So that's the first thing we'll say on that. Have a little bit of fun with it as well. All right, like Kieran, I've not been looking at a rank this year, and it's been so much better and so much easier. The other thing is, this is the main point of Veterans Vision, is I'm coming up with a word or a player. He's kind of a hybrid. He's 2 people. Let's see if you can work it out. I'm sure you can work it out. Okay. Fodanke. Fodanke. Remember this word. I'll be putting it over Twitter for for the whole international break until people realise Fodanke. Yeah, FPL veterans on about that. Foden, together with a Solanke, is the way you beat HAALAND. And I tell you why. Kieran's thinking about it. And I tell you why. First of all, is the price, right? If Solanke can match anywhere near Haaland, he's half the price. And then that is then the difference in midfield between your cheapest asset, so 4.5 Harry Winks, which if anyone's got in their team, that is literally an offence to football, a red card, never play FPL football again. That is the difference between having him or Cole Palmer. I don't think that anybody wants to have Harry Winks over Cole Palmer. And for me, that's the way you beat them. And for me, going forward, that's the way I will beat them. Kieran, talk to me about Veterans Vision. Thank you very much for the picture. Keep that up there. And tell me what you think about my vision this week. I can see that he's probably going to put up, Shane, you've lost it.
No, look, I'm not against it. Solanke is a player who, per 90, he's got the highest XG, higher than Haaland. Right, he's only played 400 minutes, so we've got a tiny sample size. But it's a player that is playing. We said it at the time. He's tailor made for the Spurs side as sort of that. He plays the way that Ange wanted, and all of the statisticians and Moneyball people in the Spurs backroom staff highlighted him for that reason. And he's going to continue to be that sort of spearhead. And they've got great fixtures coming up, and he is looking good. I have to agree with you. And also, look, with Foden, we'll have to wait and see because it depends where they play Foden in particular. It depends how long KDB's injuries
They've
for.
got to play him in 10, though, eh? What if he,
But
at
if
least a
they
short
play
10?
him, they play him, right? As in, like there'll be certain games where they just won't play him, and particularly with the Champions League, Pep will probably want to tie that up after drawing the first game. He'll just want to. They can't really step up much here. If you want to get the guaranteed top 8 spots in the Champions League, you're going to have to do well. So I think he's realising that and will push a little bit more. So yeah, it'll be an interesting one, but I do think it's a pretty good shout, mate. Cool. Well, look, let's.
I like that. I like that. I thought you'd be like, Shane, you've lost this. You've been drinking or something. So no, I'm happy. I'm happy with that. And moving forward, that's what I'm going to do, and we'll see how it plays out.
There we are. Cool. Look, the next 2 games, I think we can be quite quick on these ones. I think, look, a couple of minutes each here, because there's probably not too many assets in the EU of them. West Ham, is it a Lopetegui thing? Is it a West Ham thing? I don't know. But
I've never rated him.
Something isn't right. Something's not right.
I didn't rate the whole thing at Wolves and stuff. I didn't rate him, and we had this conversation. You think he's a good manager, and I'm like, I get that. It just didn't feel right. It didn't feel like my bones, Kieran. Listen, it's their worst start. Is it ever? I think it's their worst start ever. West Ham, right?
Yeah, and again, like, look, you can say there's been some tricky things in there. There were 3 London clubs, right? So London rivalries in a row.
Yeah.
In Brentford, Chelsea, Fulham. They've also played Man City. They played another London team in Palace. We know Villa are good as well, right? And they got the win against Palace, and they drew against Fulham, and we know Fulham have been good, and we were just saying Brentford have been good as well. So like,
are we overreacting? Maybe.
possibly, right? Like they need to win this game. That's what it will come down to, though, right? Because after that they're playing Spurs away, which could be a good game for them. Could be a good game for Souček or someone like that in sort of that half space where he always seems to find himself somehow, almost in this free roaming role. But I don't know. I think this is a game where I've been a fan of Ipswich. You know that I love the way that Ipswich play, and
yeah.
this is now 4 draws in a row for Ipswich. We can say 4 draws in a row. We can say 4 games without losing, right? And that's against Villa, Brighton, Fulham, Southampton. But like, it's not as if they've had the easiest fixtures. They got through. They lost to Liverpool and City, and they haven't lost since. So they are looking like the strongest out of all of the teams. They are looking confident. They are scoring goals now. Leif Davis is the most attacking defender out of any defender. He's created the most opportunities. They just haven't been finishing them. And I think this is the moment where I downgraded him on wildcard, and I wish I didn't, because West Ham next, then Everton, then Brentford, then Leicester. Like, why don't I have more Ipswich players in my team? That's what I'm genuinely thinking.
When you wildcarded, I was like, where's Leif Davis? Honestly, I was looking for my day. I was like, I've got Kieran's team.
Because I realised for the first 2 weeks I wouldn't be playing him, and at $500,000 to be tied up for 2 weeks on a wild card just seemed unnecessary. And he's not going to, like, my thinking was, he could rise in price. He's not going to. So I can just do a switch back to him, because there will be a stage where I'm going to be doing transfers anyway. Like in 2 weeks' time, I'll have 5 transfers, so I'll need to do something. So it could be the time to do it, right? But look, for this game, I think this is Ipswich's first win of the season. I think with the way the attitude is at West Ham, the fact that the stadium is so disconnected from the fans, both in terms of the prices they charge and the distance from the pitch itself, right? That atmosphere, I think Ipswich will go there and take advantage of it. So for this one, mate, I think Ipswich will do well. Again, I'm not going to own any assets from either of them. I expect both teams to score, but I reckon this could be a 2-1 Ipswich.
Do you know what? Yeah, we went through a stage of agreeing on scores, and then we kind of moved away from it. But this is one I have to agree with. I think both teams will score because Ipswich are still a little bit leaky, especially on Leif Davis' side. I know he's good going forward, but he does leave quite a little bit of space in behind, and they've lost a lot of the goals down their left-hand side. But I'm the same as you. I think they push forward and they get 2. The West Ham nightmare continues, and I think it's 2-1. Quite a few in the chat as well.
Disagrees. Onion disagrees.
Yeah, they've gone 2-1, but 2-1 and 2-0. But still close games, so it's it could go anyway. And listen, you've put that on the chat.
Yeah, can you say this out loud for us all, please? I think we all need to hear this from Combe. We need to hear a Scotsman saying this.
Should I say mum? Instead of mum, I say ma, because Ma, I can't find my Fadanki. That's gonna and I'll bring that up. Where is it? Fadanki would definitely become a new Scottish.
Now that I heard you say it like that.
Fadanki.
Now it just.
It sounds right.
No, it doesn't. It does. That word just made like.
Fadanki.
Yeah, no, I didn't like it.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I had an image of a Fadanki and I didn't like it. I don't want to see. Look, put it this way, I don't want to see your Fadanki, mate. No matter how you say it, I don't want to be looking at your Fadanki, and I don't know why you're asking your mum where it is. You should know where your Fadanki is. You shouldn't be asking your mum for it.
We'll move on to
I agree with Onion saying they're this year's Luton. They're exciting. They're not afraid to attack teams. They will continue to score. Luton, one of the teams that just scored in pretty much every game, and I think we'll see similar from Ipswich this year.
And they're the only one of the 3. They're only one of the 3 that have got any chance of staying up, any resemblance of chance of staying up, and I think they do stay up.
Yeah, sweet. Okay, Everton, Newcastle. Tell us about that match, mate, and what you saw from both teams last week. I guess we've covered off both of them already, right? But this is where we can.
We have, just to recap. Obviously Everton came back from 1-0 down to beat Palace with the Dwight Legend McNeil double. Again, they were a bit fortunate there, and they still weren't the best, especially in the first half. They weren't the best. They were just trying to humping it up to the top man, the target man, and playing from there. Really trying to get a second ball knock on and go in there. At times they were playing through the middle, and they do have some decent players in the middle. But but Palace stopped that in the tracks, and I think if Palace hadn't dropped in their performance second half, that it wouldn't have ended up in a win, even a draw, really. So I still see Everton on a downward turn. Newcastle have kind of picked up a little bit of form, especially against City. And they're getting everybody back together, getting their gang back together. Pressure's a little bit off Howe. And listen, I've earmarked Everton for relegation. If you go back, listen to our earlier pods, you'll see I don't really rate Everton, and I think this is one that Everton lose again. Really, I don't see it getting any better. Do you, Kieran?
I think it does. I think Newcastle are looking bad, but Everton are looking better right now. And I think this kind of game where like Dwight McNeil and his new role in that 10 is just so exciting. And he can hit the ball. We know he can hit the ball. And everything is showing an increase in him. He's going to be way more central to them. And I think he probably does get a return in this game. Is it a draw? Is it an Everton win? Is it a Newcastle win? I'm going to back Everton to kind of go with the confidence.
I knew you were going to do that.
2-1 Everton win.
It's an evening game as well. They seem to do well at evening games. I don't actually. I think Gordon's going to kick on. If Isaac comes, well, Isaac's out because he's already not been called up to Swedish national team, so he'll definitely be out. And I just think clicking a little bit better. Tonali in there. You can annoy him easy. He seems to be having a battle with Grealish all game. So if you annoy him, you get him yellow or maybe sent off. But he is class, and I think Newcastle will just outclass Everton. I don't think they'll have much. I think they'll hold out for a while, but the 60th minute they'll end up conceding. And I think in the end they'll push forward, try and get another few, and they will. And I think it's going to end up. I think it's going to be 3-0 Newcastle, mate.
Okay.
Big score. Yeah, Onions said there just they did improve Everton from a few earlier games, and Branthwaite was a big part of that as well. And I know he is starting in there now. I just think the rest of the team as a core, one player team does not make, if you will, Kieran.
Indeed. Cool. Well, look, on to Sunday.
Oh,
this
Super
is where we
Sunday,
can laugh.
by the way.
We can laugh at the latter team. Man United, the Bruno red card which gets overturned, and then he goes, "No, I need a rest," and gets himself sent off today as well.
Mate, what is he? Listen, I don't know, is anyone in the chat? So this was quite big, this red card that Bruno got last week. Obviously being a ref today as well. No one got sent off today, which was good. It was quite chilled. There's a few yellow cards, that was it. For me, I seen it as a red card. If I was the ref on there again on the field, I would have still given a red card. I think the speed and the veracity he ran at, yes, he tripped, but you can't really take that in consideration. I think it should have been a red card, and I think the ref was right to. I think where the refs have had a bit of a nightmare now is it goes to VAR, they don't change it, but a day later they do change it. Now they're not really helping themselves, are they? I didn't think it was one that they could change, but anyway, they did. And actually, we've not talked about Man United's performance. Anyway, we're just going to that. I watched the game. Dour, dreadful, disappointing, and I'm not even a Man United fan, Kieran. I think maybe I'm a closet fan, and that's why I want them to do better, and they don't. And it seems like I'm a City fan. If anyone's watching, by the way, I'm not a City fan. I'm Scottish, so I don't support any English team. But yeah, they were poor. What Spurs scored after, was it 8 minutes, something like that? And I've said before, if the opposition against United get an early goal, it's heads down time. It's a battering time. And it kind of was. Listen, it finished 3-0. I know Bruno got sent off in 44th minute, and they were down to 10 after that. Picked up a little bit after half time, but it was poor. And now everybody, Kieran, even yourself, I said pre-season, Ten Hag will be gone within 15 games. And I think it will even be less than that. I think after a performance like that, there's nothing about that team that looks like it's Ten Hag's team. I don't want to go into Man United pod because Goldbridge does that enough, but there's nothing about that team that says it's him. And then his substitutions as well, by the way. Listen, to condense it and kind of pull it down into one, United are on a bad turn. I know Bruno's got that overturned. He's been sent off tonight, by the way, which you said is, I don't know. He's on a trail of destruction against the Villa side, who played well at the weekend. They are a little bit leaky in the Prem, and they do get pegged back a little bit, and you can't trust them as much. But when you at home beat Bayern Munich 1-0 to a Duran winner, of course it was a Duran winner, you're going to be G'd up for the game at the weekend. And have you seen the United score tonight, Kieran?
Yep.
He shook his head. So United were 2-0 up. It was going well. Rashford was on fire. Bam, 3-2. Did it finish 3-2? Or was it 4-2? I think it was 3-2. Yeah, listen, it goes from bad to worse. And I don't really see that changing. I think Emery, everyone knows he's doing a fantastic job. Underrated. I know they got a Champ League, but even now, he's doing a
It finished
fantastic job.
3-3, by the way. They got an equaliser.
Oh, that's okay. They scripted draw. That was good.
Guess who?
Guess who?
Yeah.
Oh, Rashford again? Harry Maguire.
There we go. There we go.
I mean, listen, when you got to rely on Harry Maguire, who I don't even think started the game, did he? I think he came on as a sub to get an equaliser. It's bad times. Like I'm saying, against Aston Villa side, who are smashing it just now. I think, yeah, Zodiac put in there. Maguire scored at the end. Cheers, mate. Still on the score. I think it's going to be big. I think it'll be another batter, and I think it'll be 3-0 again. And I think this could be the end of Ten Hag. And I think it will be the end of Ten Hag. I think that's him done. I think it's the last game.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts, Kieran?
Yeah, similar things. Like, I think I was just clicking through and looking at who a few of the available managers are at the moment, right? Personally, I think it'd be absolutely hilarious if Man United's board decided and actually got Gareth Southgate. I don't think he'd be good, but like, I think it'd be hilarious. And I think he will be ruined with it. But actually, there's loads of great managers available at the moment. Like, you've got Xavi's available since leaving Barcelona. You've got, you've got Fabio Cannavaro was manager at Udinese. Here's one for you. Tell you what, this manager's been available for 6 weeks. Right?
6 weeks, yeah.
His last club, he was manager of FC Rapid 1923. It's your countryman, big old Neil Lennon.
Neil Lennon. Is he in the frame for the job, is he?
No, he won't be in the shape. No, but I'm just having to look through some of these available managers right now. And look, you do have some good ones, right? Like Sergio Conceição, who was over at Porto, is available right now. You got Roger Schmidt, who was at Benfica. You got Thomas Tuchel's available from Bayern.
Oh, yes, yeah.
You've got a lot. I think Daniele De Rossi got fired by Roma within 4 games.
He was doing a good job as well. He was doing all right.
So yeah, look, I agree with you. I think Man United are a side who, they're like, all of their players like to have the ball and run with it, and only one of their players likes to shoot, and that's Garnacho. And I think that's what the biggest issue is, right? Where there's not enough players taking those shots. And again, I'll just reiterate it. Bruno has had more passes this season than last season, accuracy-wise, percentage-wise, etc., but less of them in the final third. His final third completion is the lowest it's ever been. His shot-to-shot on target percentage has been the lowest it's ever been. And he's someone who needs a lot of shots on target to score a goal. And that comes down to his ball striking. Like, Bruno loves to strike the ball close to his feet, and he's not been doing that. He's been stretching. So when he's not ticking, United are going to struggle. And Rashford, here's one for you, right?
Go on.
Rashford gets into pretty much any team in the world. Genuinely. This is Marcus Rashford, who scored 20 goals last year, right? He just needs the right team around him. The team he's got around him is awful. Marcus Rashford gets into Newcastle. He gets into not Real Madrid. He gets into Barcelona.
Don't you dare say that, yeah.
He gets into Barca. He gets into he gets into Bayern Munich. He gets into Bayer Leverkusen.
I don't think he gets anywhere
Inter.
near any
He
of
gets
those
into
teams.
AC Milan. He gets into Arsenal. He gets into Arsenal over Martinelli. He does.
No,
he's a better player. Marcus Rashford is one of the best players who is criminally undermanaged and playing for a side that just will never let him reach his potential. Like, this guy is lethal.
He was. If you're talking about last season, right? I agree with you. But
this season, have you seen his goal today?
I've seen it earlier. Yeah.
Okay. incredible,
Yeah, it was a
right?
good goal. Yeah, it was a good
Yeah.
goal. But I think the importance
And
is.
then what happened? He got subbed off at
I
half
think yeah.
time. Now
Someone
maybe that was
said.
injury related.
Yeah, I think someone said he might be injured. But do you know one of the big things that genuinely see when I watch United, there's players. I mean, I'm sure like United fans, Geddy's in there. I don't know what you think on this, right? There's genuinely players that do not fancy it some weeks, honestly, and one of them is Rashford. And this is like coming out a bit of a rant. There's one thing that sets the top players apart from decent players, and that is mentality. And genuinely, I don't think the guy has it anymore. He's got fantastic skill. He is a great player. I'm not saying he's not, but he doesn't have the mentality. He genuinely doesn't to go on and win anymore. If you watch him in these games, he doesn't take anyone on anymore. He'll bring the ball, he'll stop it, and then he'll play it back. I can't remember seeing
He
the last
literally
time
just
he took
dribbled
somebody
half
on.
the pitch. He literally just dribbled half
I
the
mean
pitch.
tonight. All right, okay, right,
There we
okay,
are.
all right.
So there we are. Oh, he's
Say
not done
tonight,
it
but that's
since
one.
today.
No,
Today.
okay, so he's not. Well, he's not done it all with the Prem. So he might have done it tonight against a Porto who are probably
Ah,
pushing up a little bit high, but no, he's
the
not. Yeah, like
Porto.
Onion said, he's
Nah.
no Danny Welbeck. I love that. He's no
No
Danny
one's Danny
Welbeck.
Welbeck. Danny Welbeck needs his England call up. Under Lee Carsley, he needs his England call up. He
I'd
deserves
love
it,
to see
right?
that.
He deserves it. Who else would you go for? No, it should have been him. Cool. Look, I'll go 3-1 Villa for that one. Obviously conscious of time here,
3-1.
and we're trying to get
Yeah,
this
yeah, we're getting
all
there.
done, and we're getting
Getting there.
better. But look, Chelsea Forest. Chelsea
Oh,
are looking good.
hold on,
They're
hold on.
looking good.
Yeah, I've got that.
Didn't you already do it? You
Yeah,
went
yeah,
3-0
go on.
Villa, didn't
Did
you?
I do?
Yeah, you said 3-0.
No, I didn't. Did I?
Yeah.
I'll put it down. Okay, we're back in. Okay,
You
go.
can
Yeah,
change it
go
if
on.
you
Sorry.
want. I've got no issue with you changing it in case I've
No,
just
no,
made
no,
up
it's
you
fine.
went 3-0.
No,
I
no,
thought you
go on.
said they're going to get battered again and it'll be 3-0. I thought you said. I could be wrong.
I've gone for it now. I've gone for it. No, on you go, mate. Chelsea, Forest. We've not covered these teams, but we'll do the last two games.
Well, Chelsea
Before
are
we
a
leave.
kind of team. Cole Palmer, and we've seen it in 2 games now, right? Against Brighton and also against Wolves, where if you let Cole Palmer find the way to unlock you, and then you don't change during the game, he'll just keep doing the same thing, and it will keep working. And against Wolves, it was there's the ball to Madueke, there's the ball to
Yep.
Madueke, there's the ball to... And this time it was, oh, look, I've got space. Oh, look, I've got space. No matter what happened, they just kept giving him, and he kept falling into the same traps. And I rate Brighton highly, right? You know how fond I am of Brighton. But this was just naive by them. There's one thing going toe-to-toe, but you still have to understand the threat that someone like Cole Palmer offers. And the shocking thing is, Cole Palmer has a higher XGA this season than last season.
Wow.
Which is mental. He is better this year than last year. So, look, Chelsea are looking to start to tick. I think over time they'll start to get more confidence in their defence. I think their defence would be a lot further ahead if they had signed Hermansen or if Maresca had got his goalkeeper that he wanted, right? It's quite clear that they get Jorgensen, and Jorgensen's their champions, their European goalkeeper.
He is, yeah. He played tonight.
There's no way that that was a Maresca signing. He obviously wanted Hermansen, and if they got him, I think their defence would be a lot stronger. I think their defence will get better over time, and I think this could be a good game for them to do well in. I think Palmer is he's got tough fixtures coming up, but he's rested during European games, and that's a massive advantage to him. Forest, on the other hand, no, go for it, mate. Go for it.
No, go. You continue. I like it.
This is where you should dive into it.
Well, I think we've got kind of shortish memories, haven't we? Really, and thinking you should always go with what you're thinking, right? And my thinking was there was a lot of people going without Palmer, and I said, you know what? I'm going to change a lot this season. You know, the big players in and out and hop on and off, and one of them was Palmer. I had it up in the fixture. I was like, right, I'm going to bring him in second game week. Because he had a favourable I can't remember who it was, but he did bang. I think he got a few goals, whatever, and on and off. I didn't in the end because other fixtures and that come in. But we've seen it last season. He can bang against this Man City. He'll bang against Man City. Pep doesn't make many mistakes, and I tell you what, this is one to let this lad go, and for him to have the minerals to go. Do you know what? I am going to go to Chelsea. I am going to be the main man, and he has. And remember, we were chatting a while ago with Ed for Fantasy, some others. And yeah, we said we really rated him. Obviously, an England team as well, but he's even still underrated. Like you're saying, his numbers now, Big Alex, how you doing, mate? His numbers now even better than last season, which is ridiculous. You put him in that side as well tonight. What was the score they won tonight? I think it was like 3-1, 4-1. We said as well pre-season that squad, if they start ticking, it's a phenomenal squad. And the other thing we have to remember, he's not even in the European squad, is he? Or currently, anyway, he's not in the European squad, so he's going to get rest every week, and then he's going to be firing every weekend. So I think moving forward in terms of FPL, if you bring him in, he's going to stay in there. Do you know what I mean? And he's even battling. I've even had it in my mind. I might be moving Salah to Palmer and that kind of thing moving forward because you could maybe rely on a little bit more. Um, he's the new age coming through where Salah's kind of going out. Still fantastic player, obviously. But the guy's a different class, isn't he? It's unbelievable how good he is.
Yeah, look, I disagree on like City have made a mistake letting him go. He wasn't in the City plans. He's not a City player. The way he plays doesn't fit into the City system. It's been the right thing for both clubs, right? In terms of he needs to be that main man. He's never going to be that main man in the City system, and City don't want main men syndrome in their team. It's a team
Yeah,
game, not a me game. So he's gone on to do exactly what he should have done. I think Forest are fine, but just fine,
they're
right?
fine. Well, they
They're
won
fine.
4-2. Chelsea won 4-2 tonight.
There we are. Look, Forest are fine, but again, this is a game where I think Chelsea just win it comfortably. I think, like I said, I can see them actually getting a clean sheet here and it just being a comfortable 2-0 here for Chelsea. I think they will be instructed to try
2-0
and
Chelsea.
shore up on defence and improve on that. So I think when they do get 2 goals up, they will be told to kind of just prioritise defence over getting the third goal. Like prioritise the clean over the third goal, basically, so that confidence can be instilled on the team.
Yeah, no, I get you. I still think they concede. One thing you touched on, I didn't touch on, was Sanchez. He was at fault for the 2 goals that Brighton scored, and it is quite clear that he didn't want Sanchez in. He's playing him. Sanchez is shocking in that side as well. Look at that side throughout, and it's phenomenal. And then you got Sanchez at the back, so he's a proper weak link. I'm not saying he'll be at fault for the goal at the weekend, but I think they concede again. I think it's quite close. I'm thinking between 2-1 and 3-1. I think I go Chelsea 2-1. I think Forest make a good account of themselves, and yeah, they get a goal, whether it be Chris Wood, and 2-1. And I think we're on to the last one, eh?
Last one.
Look, we got there. We got there.
This could be a big one, right? This could be a big one. We've already discussed,
It
obviously,
is.
Brighton's naivety in their defence, but another one, like, while Spurs did do well against United, there were so many opportunities where United should have scored against them, where Spurs just left themselves so open at the back, even against 10 players. Like, they were naive there. And I think that's both of these teams will capitalise on each other being naive and playing that way. Like this will not be a goalless draw. Would be the first thing I'd say. This is a game where I definitely see goals and expect there to be goals. These are two teams who, again, if we just skip ahead to the Massey rank, have both overperformed based on who they've been up against. It's two teams who Brighton and Spurs are both good at press resistance and good at building up from the back, so they both enjoy to do that as well. And if we then skip ahead onto this one, in terms of expected goals, 11v11, they're both expected to score between 1.5 and 1.75 goals a game and concede between 1 and 1.25 goals per game. So this is two teams that are probably going to score 2 goals each, right? As a minimum, or almost as a baseline in a game like this. So I think this will be an exciting one. I think Brighton, albeit losing and quite badly, they will react to that, and it'll be one of those where Hurstler would have wanted them to play that way. He would have wanted to see how good they are. Like, I don't want to see my team change how they play against harder opposition because I don't learn anything about them. I want to see where we're going wrong with how we're building up this way. And I think he would have identified it, but it's a really hard team to go up against next. So I think the Brighton wingers will look to attack. I think big man Danny Welbeck will continue to score against any top opposition. And I think Brennan Johnson and Solanke will continue to look very, very, very good. Like, Brennan Johnson is really taking it personal, all of this. Couple of fans
Yes,
slagged him off. 5 in 5 now. Like, the guy is unstoppable.
Yeah, he scored tonight. Yeah. Which I'm happy about for him. I'm happy because I think he deleted his Instagram or his Twitter or something like that,
He
and
did.
he started an origin story, isn't he? Do you know what I mean? He's like coming back with a vengeance, man. I love to see it.
But here's the thing, right? Almost the opposite to Cole Palmer. Interestingly, Brennan Johnson's expected goal assist has gone down this season.
He's
He's
underrated.
just
He's
more
another one who's
lethal.
underrated.
Yeah, last season I think he wasn't clinical enough. This season he's
Yes, he
getting
did
better
miss a lot of
chances
chances.
and he's finishing them. So like, look, I think this is definitely going to be an exciting game. Like for me, I think this is a high scoring game. There's definitely bias coming in here. I'm going to go with a 3-2 Brighton.
Oh, do you know what? I love that. And I was thinking 3-2 in my head, but I've gone the other way. I've gone 3-2 Spurs. And I think Hurtzler's a great coach. You one who brought my kind of what ideas he had and that, and how good a coach he was before he came. But I think he is still a little bit naive. That game showed he is naive, and it took him a little while to change the system. And by then, the game was gone. And I think it kind of happens again. But like you're saying, it's going to be a fantastic game to finish off the weekend. It's a later game, which is good. And I think it's just going to be a forward and back because Spurs are the same. You know what I mean? With Andrew's like, that's the way we play. Do you know what I mean? we'll leave gaps at the back again against United. Push Van de Ven going through like Mbappe through. Although saying that, maybe me and you could probably run past United's back line like Mbappe. But yeah, I see it being quite a ding dong affair, if you will. But I do see Spurs quality just coming out on top. Maybe that Brennan Johnson, maybe that Cooley, maybe that Madison kind of 30-yarder we've not seen for a while. And I think they finish 3-2. Zodiac, let's see what he thinks. It's a game where he sees seagulls. So yeah, I'll take the. That's almost as good as your joke that you had, Kieran.
So you did it wrong though. You said it's a game where he sees seagulls. No, it's a game where he
Sees
seagulls.
goals. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Um,
That's the Scottishness. Yeah, that's
There we are. Look, before we jump into this is our predictions done for this week. But before we jump into what our teams look like and what you're kind of thinking of doing, um, literally this was just posted up by Mark R Stats and I just had to get it on here almost as quick as possible. I'm saying that and now it's not loading up. Here we are. Add to the stage. Have a look at this. Right. Now, at one point last season, Man United, this is opponents' deep entries and opponents' penalty box shots, right? At one point last season, you can see on this graph here, Man United regularly conceded 22 entries into the danger zone. And this is sort of the tail end here, the big yellow spike at the top. And 15 shots from the penalty box, right? This season, they've started off better, but have you noticed the graph is starting to go up again? It's going up.
He's creeping up, baby.
Worrying trends on the forefront. Anyway, just wanted to put that there quickly. Let's go back though onto here and skip ahead to your team this week, Shane. Obviously, you'd wildcarded last week. This is, I assume, your team as is. So talk me through it. What was the benching decisions and any transfer moves you're thinking? Any dilemmas? We'll give you
Well,
3
listen.
minutes to talk.
Oh, three. That's more time I need. Listen, Bruno Fernandes. We'll come to him. From the back, yeah, I wild carded in 4. Probably. I mean, wild card team to the team that I did have, I did improve on points, so that was good. Probably could have wild carded a little bit later, but I'm fairly happy with the team I got this week. If you listen on the podcast, I've got Raya as a keeper. Listen, solid. Most people have him or they want him. Backline, I've got Konsa, Robertson, Alexander-Arnold, and Lewis. I think all 4 of them are really good for this weekend. I wouldn't really like to play 4 at the back, or there's more people conceding goals and defenders aren't that good on BPS. But I'm fairly happy with that. Midfield, I've got Saka, Mbeumo, Salah, who's the captain, and Semenyo. Again, happy with that. Solid. Mbeumo scoring. Saka's due a haul. Salah, I think, could really haul this weekend. I think people are underestimating how much he could, and I feel like it might be a penalty in there as well. Semenyo, more than happy with him. Up top, then I got Watkins. He's going nowhere against United, and Evan Nielsen. Again, he's going nowhere against Leicester. So in terms of the team, I think we're fairly set on that team. On the bench, I've got Fabianski, who's not going to play. Bruno Fernandes, he said that nice and quiet. Keane and Yao Pedro. Obviously, Yao Pedro, he's probably going to stay there for a while. The moves that I'm thinking about this weekend, mate, and I'm not thinking, I am actually going to do, I'm going to have another -4. So I took a -4 on, but I got a +9 for it, +10 with Semenyo and Evan Nielsen. It paid off. I'm going to bring in Fadanke. I'm going to take out Bruno, and I'm going to take out. It'll be one of the two, probably Pedro. I'm going to bring in Solanke, and I'm going to bring in Foden because I think that's the key. And I think Foden could have a really, really good this weekend. I think he could maybe even get more points than Haaland. That's what I'm predicting anyway. I feel like he might get a goal and assist. Haaland might get a goal. But yeah, moving forward, I think I have to start holding transfers as well. I think how many have you got? Have you built up 5?
No, because I wildcarded. I
3?
think I'm on 2, maybe.
2, yeah. So there is times that we want to keep them. So I think after this international break, obviously, and then we'll chill moving forward. But I'm happy this weekend, mate, and I think I'll get a really, really good score. What's your thoughts on my team? Just a quick one to move on to yours. I'd love to hear your thoughts, mate. Same with
Yeah.
chat. Chat. Let me know
Double
what you think.
Liverpool defences should be good for this game, right? I think. What did you predict for it? Didn't you predict them to concede? No, you didn't. You went clean sheet.
Yeah, I've gone clean sheet, mate.
Lewis, I like. Look, Lewis against a team like Fulham, I think almost certainly starts in the right back position. I think he's better when he starts in the right back position, as we saw in the Champions League. I think against faster wingers, Walker starts there, and he might then have Lewis play like he did against Newcastle. Although it wasn't that effective, right? I like the rest of your team. I think it is solid. So look, if you do both those moves, then who are you benching? Is it one of your defenders? Is it Konza?
Yeah, it'll be Konsa. I'm happy to play him this weekend because they got United, and I think there's a high chance of him getting a clean sheet. But yeah, he would drop out because of the potential of Foden and Solanke, mate. Yeah, spot on.
All right, sweet. Well, look, jump onto my one then. Look, so yeah, this is pretty much my wildcard team, right? So I've got Sanchez in goal. My back three this will be Lewis, Gabriel, and Trent. Midfield of Saka, Semenyo, Mbumo, and Dominic Sobslai. And the front three of Evan Nilsson, Haaland, and Havertz. Look, my dilemmas are I might start McNeil over Sobslai. I probably will, to be honest with you, but I do fancy Sobslai in this fixture. Last week I benched McNeil, so that was kind of painful. So now I kind of don't want to do that again. And Newcastle do look weak, and I've gone 2-1. But then you've gone 2-0 Newcastle, I think. So like you've thrown a spanner in my thinking there. But you also kept saying Haaland. In fact, yeah, when you said Haaland would blank, he scored. And when you didn't say he blanked. You said Everton won't score, so they'll definitely score. So maybe, yeah, I definitely go there. Look, my dilemma this week is, do I captain Haaland or do I go Havertz or Saka? Still to be decided. I prefer Havertz out of him and Saka for the reasons we said.
Yeah.
I think Havertz, if he gets 2 returns, it's more likely to be 2 goals. I think Saka, if he gets 2 returns, it's more likely to be 2 assists or a goal and an assist. But Haaland against Fulham, I do like that as well. So yeah, not sure what I'll be doing. I guess out of ignoring all of this, Shane, I think something just to throw in there to kind of end it. If you could have any player at all that you don't own, like one player that you wish it could be a 1 week punt this week. There could be low ownership, there could be high ownership. Who's the one player that if you had a free transfer and you could just have them this week and they're not in your thinking, who would it be?
Well, he's not my thinking because I can't really get to him and the other players I've got. But Cole Palmer, it's not even a thought. Not even a thought.
Fair. That's a good shout.
But I like your team, and no, it's good. What I will say on your teams is you have been very, very unlucky. Like the time when you wildcarded and then you took Haaland out and then you brought him back, you've been very unlucky. And like your calls and your shouts, it's just how your
I
team
don't
set
take
up.
my
Like,
own advice. That's the problem.
yeah, like the McNeil, because I seen him score 2 and I was like, oh, Kieran smashed that. And then when I spoke to you and you bench him, I was like, no, it's like I had McNeil. I was like, no, like Andy from the Green Mile when he comes out and he's like, yeah, that's what it was like.
But to
And
that point, if you look at my
Soboslai,
team from last week, right, like Haaland blanked, right? There was no way I was starting McNeil over him. Evan Nilsson,
no,
Havertz, Semenyo, and Mbumo all got returns. So then it was starting him over Soboslai or Saka. And Saka was unlucky not to get one, and Soboslai was close. So again, it was one of those
should
that
have
was.
scored. Yeah.
And like, look, the argument was McNeil over Evan Nilsson, and it would have been the right call, right? But the reason why I didn't do it was there's no point in owning Evan Nilsson if I wasn't going to start him against Southampton.
That's one thing, right? You know how you're saying that? I've seen a lot of people, and I've seen you run a space earlier, people thinking about captaining Saka instead of Haaland. listen, Haaland, he'll still get points, I get it. But a 15+ million asset that people aren't going to captain, it just doesn't sit right. It doesn't sit right in the Scottish badge in the heart way. And I just can't do it. And I think that's another reason.
Not at home against Fulham. Not at home against Fulham. I understand it in other games, right? I don't think you have to captain him every week. And actually,
No,
on a
no, no.
meta strategy, right? Let's just say everyone gets 100 million budget at the start, which they do. If you captain Haaland, your team value is 115 million. It can't be any higher. You are getting the highest team value that week. So you're captaining literally the most expensive thing. So I think that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, I just think, yeah, do you see that message from Zodiac? So Zodiac says, I think there's a bit of knee jerk over the Sobo and McNeil picks. What's your own thoughts, Kieran?
So McNeil I owned before his haul, right? And that's because, yeah, he's a player that I'd fancied and said in a couple of podcasts in a row, actually, I think, before actually owning him, that I just really, really like him. He's better than Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Dominic Calvert-Lewin, and I'll make the same joke for the third time. I thought DCL stood for damaged cruciate ligament because he's always injured. And I just think McNeil is on all set pieces, a lot more exciting as a pick. Sobslai was genuinely, this is the one thing that I regret. The team that I had before deadline, that I went, oh, I can't do that. I don't have any Liverpool attack, right? And then put Sobslai back in. But basically, I had Cole Palmer and Trossard instead of Saka and Sobslai. So, yeah, Sobslai was just one where, again, we could call it whatever, but if he puts that chance away, that one-on-one, then it makes no difference. And he should have. You tell me that he will get the opportunity to score the opening goal in that game from 5 yards out. I'll take that pick all day long, every day. So look, he's a player I've got. He's one that I might potentially bench this week for McNeil. We'll wait and see.
Yeah, that's it. And just as we finish off, actually, Com's got
Yeah, we'll open it up for questions now. I've got no issue with questions.
We'll get a question. First one's from Trophy Mo. Mo, thanks for joining us, big man. He's just said he's finished filming, which will be good. We'll look forward to that. Everyone who's watching, listening, if you don't know Mo, fantastic content. Go and follow him. Go and watch his content. It's brilliant. He says, "Can you two help me with this one? Start DCL or Rodgers?" My quick thought on that. I don't think it's a question for me. Rodgers all day against a terrible United. Rodgers will look fantastic. Yeah, I go Rodgers. What's your thoughts, Kieran?
So I'm not the biggest fan of either one of them, right? Like, not in terms of as footballers, but in terms of FPL assets. And I'm really happy that Rodgers got returns in the last couple of games. I think the owners definitely deserve that. But again, I think the way that he's deployed in Emery's system is to create space rather than to create chances and score. So he's not that direct and running directly at the goal. He is very much in and around it, and he got his goal by being in that area, causing havoc and dragging defenders away from Watkins, right, and from other players. That is a lot of his purpose. When he's dribbling with the ball, he'll go with it as well. I just wonder how much he is being asked to be that direct attacking threat, and I also wonder how far away we are from Emery starting a game with Duran and Watkins together, and if so, what
Could
that
be this
means for the
weekend, Kieran.
Morgan's role. It could be.
Oh.
Whereas I look at it and I go, Newcastle are looking shaky at the moment and at the back, and they are giving up chances centrally. And whilst I'm not the biggest fan of DCL, whilst he's fit and confident, and by confident I mean like he's striking the ball really well. He might not be scoring, but he's striking it very well. Dominic Calvert-Lewin at times last season was kind of passing it towards the goal. This season he's hitting them with venom. So if I were to pick between the two of them, ordinarily I'd always go for a midfielder because any attacking return's worth more to a midfielder almost. But for a game like this, I'd probably go DCL.
Yeah, do you know what? Just a quick one. I think Emery will start them both. I think he'll start Duran and Watkins, and United's backline will be so amused with them that he'll leave a big space for Rodgers, and I think he could do some damage this weekend. But that's what I go with. Mo.
Here's the question for you: McNeil or Rodgers?
Just this weekend, or like for 2-3 game weeks, or?
Yeah, longer term.
I think Rodgers. It's a piece that I want to put up there.
I tell you what, we'll do this between us. I reckon. What shall we say? Next 4 games.
Yeah.
McNeil gets more points than Rodgers.
Yep. Okay. We'll take that. We'll take that. I had a
Yeah.
bet. Do you know what? I had a bet the other day
We'll have a
with
little
Mo.
forfeit on there. We'll have a little
Yeah,
forfeit if
well, I
you
I
lose.
had a little bet with Mo the other day about Haaland. I think we need to get a big one rigged up, and the forfeit was a marathon on the 1st of January. So
Yeah, I know, but you're getting everyone to read that one out. We need to wait till Mo's on the show and he can start doing things on Tuesday,
yes,
or we'll
Mo.
get Mo on here
Yes,
or something. Um,
definitely, definitely.
but you're saying it's a little bet, right? You basically have agreed that you'll run a marathon, and change outfits every mile. He's not bet anything, so it's not a bet. It's you just going, I really want to run a marathon. Please, someone give me a reason to do it.
On the
Please.
1st of January, I would not. I'll be eating about 20 mince
He
pies
didn't
the night
suggest
before.
it out of nowhere with no wager. You went, and if this happens, I'll do this. Look, you haven't asked anything for him.
We've upped the ante. Yeah, we need an ante for Mo. Yeah, good thinking actually. Yeah,
He's
yeah,
not going to sign up to that. He's just taking the bet because it's a no lose bet for him.
yeah.
Look,
I
we'll
think
open
that's
it up for a couple more minutes. Has anyone else got any questions? We will give it 20 seconds, and if there's no questions, 10 past 11 local time.
We've done well. We've condensed a little bit more, Kieran. We're getting there every time. I think next time another chunk will come down. We'll keep it bound
Well, it
around
flows more
roughly
this way, doesn't
hour
it?
and
I think
15 mark.
like we
Yeah.
still managed to cover off what we wanted to. It flowed a little bit more. We seem to have kept people actually in the YouTube chat this time rather than losing them all. So that's definitely a positive sign. We've
Yeah.
had some
Thanks for
new people
joining.
as
Yeah.
well. And look, if you're listening back on YouTube or on Spotify, then please do give us a like, give us a follow. It does help. Put a comment as well after we put this up as a live one, because again, all these things help on the algorithm. We're gonna have to change what our username is at some point because the underscore at the start of it definitely doesn't help the algorithm. So thank you for finding us.
Yeah.
Shane, over to you for final words and any words of wisdom ahead of the week.
The only things I've got to say is good luck for the game week before the international break. Again, interact with us, like, share, all that kind of good stuff, because that's why we do the pod, isn't it, Kieran? You know what I mean? We like chatting to people about FPL, about football, and that's what we're about. The only last thing I've got to say before we finish is I want to see plenty of hashtags, plenty remember the name of Fodanke. And with that, good night, lads. See you later on.